March 9th, 2023. The board meeting is called to order at 6:32 p.m. So we are going to go ahead and start with roll call. So Trustee Alexander.
Here.
Trustee Chabot-Mahine.
Here.
Trustee Latu. Trustee Nunez.
Here.
And I myself am present, so we have quorum. We will move on to item number 2, the approval of the agenda. There is one comment that we are going to pull from the consent agenda, the minutes, which is item 8A, the consideration to approve February 23rd, 2023 regular board meeting minutes, because Trustee Chabot-Mahine was not here. So with that, are there any other comments regarding the agenda? All right, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So
Trustee,
I move to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
all right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? All opposed. And so the item moves or is accepted with the vote of 4-0. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next item, which is the Castaño School of the Arts presentation.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I believe that was, do you still need to approve the minutes though? 'Cause
Yes.
that's for the consent agenda.
Can't we approve it when we do the consent agenda? Do we need to approve the minutes right now? Because it can, yeah, so we're going to do that when we come back to open session for the consent agenda. Okay.
Gotcha.
All right. So we're going to move on to Castaño School of the Arts presentation.
All right. Good evening, esteemed board members. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm going to give you a brief overview of what we do at Castaño, who we are, and how we are going to move forward in the future. So I was going to have one of my students perform a dance from the winter concert to serve as our opening up of the session and also the honor to the land that we stand on. But I think the rain has kind of delayed her. So we're going to move on to the next slide. And if she comes, then I will go back to that to support her. All right. Thank you. So one of the questions that I really wanted to think about before starting the year off is how do we support the development of our culture within the, thank you, development of the arts and culture within an instructional framework, how we value our students, ourselves, and honor the traditions of the community we serve. And I wanted to lead with that throughout the year when thinking about instruction, engagement with our students, our teachers, and our families. So together we do what we cannot do alone. So I myself, coming from a collectivist community, and also many of our students come from the collectivist belief of working together to lift everyone up is what I lead with and what I employ staff and teachers to move with as well. So our micro community. So here are all the members who are within our community that lift up our students and are essential to supporting how we function and move forward at Castaño. So we have a lot of people who are integral to what we do. So what we'll be looking at is our iReady data for our MAP data, our student climate, community engagement, and our identity, who we are as Castaño School of the Arts. So our MAP data. So we'll be looking at our iReady data, the technology that we're utilizing within the district to support achievement with regards to math and reading levels. So we have our diagnostic 1 and 2 reading levels. We see at the top, the diagram shows that students were in a beginning range of understanding, and we see the colors as they proceed. And in the second graph below, or the diagram below, we see that there has been improvement and students are moving towards growth in their reading levels. And so progress towards annual typical growth, 22%. It is a small number right now, but again, I believe that that number will change. We just had an iReady data training in which teachers left feeling like they really understood how the program works, how they can dive in more. And we talked about how they're going to implement it into their classes on a daily basis. And we found that students are actually using it at home on their own as forms of enrichment and support. So we have our diagnostics in math. We see that the diagram that at the very beginning, students were trying to figure out what it is, what it was. And now it seems like they're revving up to understand how to use the programs and the technology. And we see the growth, again, small growth, but it is growth. And we know that they will move forward, especially now that the teachers understand the tool that we're using. And they really went in depth during our training, asked all the questions so they can really understand how to support their kids with this technology. So what does this mean? Students and teachers are exploring and familiarizing themselves with the iReady platform. Progress is being made in both subject areas, and valuable feedback and some next steps for instructions are happening. So student climate. So we see the data over suspensions over the last 5 years. We see that the numbers have gone down substantially, but we still have a lot of work to do. And so we've been working with culturally relevant practices, social justice practices, and trauma-informed practices to support reducing the amount of out-of-school and in-school suspensions that we have. And we see referrals have gone down drastically over the last 5 years, and really, again, engaging with my campus support staff and teaching staff to really talk about what does trauma-informed practices look like, how can we serve our students, looking at neuroscience, and how we know students are affected by trauma. So climate change, because something with climate, it's always shifting, right? So what have we shifted at Castaño? So weekly meetings with school support staff, relationship building among students and staff members. We have our check-in and check-out policy, our program, but we really pair students with our staff members that we know they have a relationship with. And it's not, oh, you work well with this kid. We'll ask the student, you know, who do you want to go to when you are having a hard time? And they have like 5 people. And so we set up our program in that way. Mindfulness practices, restorative circles. In our, we've been doing a Castaño reset where we're really looking again at the neuroscience, ACEs or ACE scores, and how trauma affects how students show up to school, and how even in our transitions from recess into the classroom, how we can start off with either lights off, deep breathing, some music, doodling, just something to transition them back in the class from all that adrenaline that has them out when they're outside. So, and a lot of this discussion also happens with our ILT instructional leadership team. No, the video can't be loaded. No, it's okay. So community engagement. So at Castaño, we have lots of engagement, and I spent a lot of time talking with my parents. So one of my parents sent in, we had a really long discussion after one of our family art nights, and she just kind of employed to me how you know, excited she was about what was happening. So I'll just read this out loud. I wanted to take a moment to let you know how amazing last week's family art night was. The dancers and food were fantastic, and it was wonderful to see art night reflective of the African-American population of our school and community. This is the first art night that is solely focused on the contributions of African-American community. It was nice to see an art night honoring our African-American community in a respectful and educational way. As I said, when we spoke, representation matters, and I was so happy to see Art Night representing our Black students. It was a wonderful way to cap off Black History Month, and I hope it becomes an annual tradition. Bailey Schwartz. So she has 2 students within Ravenswood. Her 6th grader went through Castaño as well, and she has 1 5th grader that is about to move on. So why do I keep talking about family art nights? Why? Because again, they are centered around our community. They're centered around the cultures and the traditions they share and practice. And we think this is why they come in. And because we're an arts integrated school, we have at least 4 events a year. And again, we'll center them around our families and community. So we have the process of our posters. So we really want, again, what we do to be student-centered, everything we're doing student-centered. So initially we have we vary between contest or earmarking students that we know that they have some great talent and they're either quiet or reserved, and we want to focus and showcase the work that they're doing in school. So we have, again, a variety of how we select these posters, but I'm showing this to show the process, and then the students understand, and they're part of the process as well. So they understand how art is produced, that there are drafts, that everything is not always perfect, that you will have to consistently try. And we're hoping those practices and will transfer into the classroom as well. So this was our first poster. And this, our second poster. We work with the artist, and I had to convey to the artist that some of our students, we want to make sure the poster reflects them. And because she's not in the state, so I had to convey to her that a lot of our students are Black and brown students. And so I want the poster to reflect that. And so we went through shades of moving in the art. Additionally, a lot of artists like to fix things. And what we did was, like, we want to honor the wiggly arm. We want to honor the long chin. We want to honor all of the work in its authenticity. And so we are also thinking about ways, again, to honor our communities. So the patchwork on the side are traditional fabrics and tribal patterns of the nation on the land that we stand on. So these are the iterations of the poster design process. So who we are. So we have a glimpse of who we are. So we are a turnaround art school. So we are an integrated school where we're integrating the practices of art into the subjects, the core subjects. Huh? Yes, we have the American Revolution this Friday. This is their rehearsal, and I wanted you to see a glimpse of it. Hopefully it'll play. You can watch it in the smaller. Okay. Okay, we'll come back to that. All right, so it's a video of the students rehearsing in their classes. And they have to learn lines regarding characters within the American Revolution. It's quite lovely. The students love it. And they really get into the acting aspect. So here's images of some of the student artwork, which again is a large part of our identity. So other things that happen throughout the year. We have a girls who code program, which is a really great program. It was only open to 5th graders when we initially launched it, and we tried to get, and because we knew we wanted more students to have access, we were able to handpick a couple of 4th and 3rd graders to also join. And initially they were kind of, hesitant, and then they found out the joy of coding, and they received certificates at the end of their participation. And this is the 2nd year that we've done it, and so the numbers have grown. Here are some of the images of our pumpkin patch and our Halloween, and students engaging, families engaging. This year we had some hay brought in so students could feel like they had their very own pumpkin patch. They didn't need to go anywhere to participate in that. And so we're surprised we had a lot of families come and take pictures with the students to join us that day. Our winter concert. So the students, every class performed a dance and a song and did artwork. And so it was standing room only at one point in the space. We weren't prepared, but we should have been. We didn't know that many families were going to come out, but it was a really joyous event. We saw students who normally, again, they're super quiet, and this was their time to shine. So we were able to see different aspects of our students and their personalities, and their families got to see them as well. So images from our art nights. This is a wonderful, again, opportunity for parents to also participate in the art students are doing in classes. And so sometimes I'm, tapping parents, hey, there's another table, but they are really engaged in the work and we love it. We want, we want our parents to understand the joy and the importance of art and how integral it is to their educational process. So our school spirit, we have Spirit Wednesdays, and we always encourage the children to put on their spirit gear, and they love it. Okay, all right. Okay, so we, again, as a turnaround art school, we perform a musical every year. And so this was a video of our first rehearsal. The students working with a director who's amazing, Sinjin, and getting the students into character and the practice of being young thespians. All right, well, And so I believe this is a video with a group of students talking about why they like coming to Castaño. And so what we did was we did it in two parts where we have the lower elementary levels and then we have the upper elementary levels where they talk about why they enjoy being at Castaño.
Board President, I'm wondering if, right, so if there's questions or anything, comments, then I can have the team try to work on that.
So I think what we're going to do is we're going to try to sign in so we can see some of the videos.
Okay.
But are there any comments or questions from the board right now while they're working on that?
I have a comment. The art nights there, while I haven't been able to get to one this year, last year I remember going, and those were so much fun with parents and students all engaged in what was happening. Incredible food all the time. So, and I'm really looking forward to your musical this year.
Thank you. We want to make sure our families are fed. We can't hope that they're going to come out and be, not, that's dinner time for them. And so we want to take something off their plate so they don't have to think about it. So we try to provide culturally specific food as well with the information that supports where the food comes from in the history. So this is part of the climate change. So we try to engage in the morning with students to see, again, we're either playing some kind of music in the gym while they're eating breakfast, or we have the cha-cha slide or the electric slide. So we're always engaging with the students in some way. Yes, please. Okay. This is the climate video. They're moving in the mornings. This is something they love to do. Some of our kids who are super cool, they'll look out the corner of their eye and they'll want to run, come jump with me. So when we're dancing, so it's a equalizer. Some, all the students are most of the Yes.
For the record, I just want to say that Trustee Latu joined us at 6:50 p.m. for those who are watching. Thank you.
It's okay. So hopefully this will be up on the website, or there's a link somewhere available for families and parents to watch if we can't get this going right now. Just to circle back. So again, part of our identity and school culture is how we lead and how we move forward. And we'll continue to do that. And how they're integral to our instruction and moving our students forward to be successful.
And shoot round after round at the British. Attack! And shoot round after round at the British.
It's happening this Friday.
Through the chair.
It's happening. Yep, it's happening this Friday.
This American Revolution, walk through the American Revolution. If you've never gone and watched fifth graders doing this, take the opportunity. I wish I could, but I kind of need to teach. But take the opportunity. It is so much fun to watch those fifth graders doing it.
What is the date and time?
So tomorrow,
Tomorrow.
between 9 and 3 there. I believe there's going to be 2 sessions, but I can email you the information. There's gonna be 2 sessions, but I do believe it's also happening throughout the month. That we'll have all of the 3 fifth grade classes will perform their own version.
Okay, great. Yes.
Through the chair.
Oh, here we go. You were just joking. Sorry.
All right. Do you all have any questions for me?
Yes.
I was just gonna say thank you for the presentation. I'm learning more and more about all of our schools through these presentations, and I really appreciate how the focus on art and culture can keep our parents invested. Because as a person who was a Ravenswood person, once you get to a certain grade, it's really hard for parents to stay involved and help students in certain ways. But I feel like because Castaño has the culture and the art already embedded, and parents can always contribute in some way. And so I think it's natural, or it's really nice that they always have a pull and a way to stay involved in the students' education, even if it's not as content experts, but they're experts in their culture and art who can't contribute to art. And so I think it's really amazing how much engagement we're able to see through the pictures and some of these videos. So thank you.
Thank you.
I will also just say I was there for the last family art night. Me and the whole family got to go, and it was super exciting. We got there right at the end, but we saw the live dancing, and then we also saw Miss Woods up there dancing, and we saw lots of teachers and students and even some parents up there. So it was just a really great time to be engaged, and I was definitely the parent doing the art work and not moving on. My daughter was able to get the king cake, right? She found where all the good treats were. So it was a lot of fun. And it's just like a nice welcoming place. And I really appreciate that. And my son was also there at TK. So it was just really good to see some of the old teachers and staff. And, it's no matter if you're there for 1 year or for all 5, like you become part of the family. And so you really feel that as a parent and as a community member. So I'm really thankful for just the climate there is there at Castaño, the teachers, the staff, and you, Miss Woods, for the work that you do there. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Miss Woods. And if you want to send us your presentation, we'll be happy to watch the videos as
Okay,
well.
will
Yes.
do.
Thank you. Great. If there are no other comments, sorry, we're going to move on to open session, so closed session. So if we have any members of the public who want to address anything that is agendized for closed session, as I see none, there is none. So I will adjourn to closed session at 6:57 p.m.
Trustee Sabomahin, can you say something? I want to make sure we put the sound back.
Okay, hi, can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back. We are reconvening open session at 7:37. So in closed session on item 6A, action was taken with a vote of 5-0. On item 6B, action was also taken with the 4A. Excuse me. Okay, sorry, report out of closed session. So item number 4A, action was taken with a vote of 5-0. Item number 4B, action was taken with a vote of 5-0. Now we will move on to from the floor, which is item number 7 here. Item number 7, and do we have any members of the public who would like to address anything that is not agendized? This is the time to do so. As I see none, I'm going to go ahead and move on. We are going to go ahead and move on to item number 8, which is the consent agenda. So I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with the note that we are going to take out item 8A because trustee Shabot was not present on that date.
Through the chair, I move to approve the item 8, which is the consent agenda, withholding item 8A.
I'll second that.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We have a motion carries 5-0. Now I'm going to move on to item number 8A to take a vote there. Do I have a motion to approve item 8A?
I'll make a motion to approve 8A.
I'll second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And abstain?
Me, yep.
Okay, so the motion carries 4 yes and 1 abstain. Thank you. We're going to move on to the next item, which is item 9, which is the consideration to approve resolution 2023 National Women's History Month proclamation. Did we want to say anything or where?
I can just want to make
Okay.
sure we acknowledge the fact that our district is led by 5 women who hold significant roles in their community. And I'm proud to be part of this governance team that is doing some amazing work.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
Through the chair, I move to approve the resolution,
Right? And
item 9.
right, and do we have a second?
I'll second.
Again, and then you read.
Okay, now we're going to read.
So, resolution number 2022-2023-20. Whereas Women's History Month began as a local celebration in Santa Rosa. Education task force from status from the first plan and executed the Women's History Week celebration in 1970. The organizers selected the week of March 8th, which corresponded with the annual so. Whereas in 1980, the story of the women's story is led by the national women's history development. Now, successfully long. In February 1950, President Carter, the first president of the proclamation, the week of March 8th, is National Women's History. Whereas 6 years after the Carter's proclamation, Congress and the urging of that project, declared March 8th year of the Women's History. Whereas the movement spread across the country as other communities in the field, their own women's histories and celebrations of women. And whereas American women of every race, class, and every family.
You. So go ahead and take and vote. Everyone, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0, or resolution passes 5-0. Thank you. And thank you to all of the women in this room that do what they do. All right, let's move forward to item number 10, the consideration to approve resolution number 2223 regarding -21 regarding the elimination of permanent classified employee services.
Good evening, trustees. Over the last several years, we've seen significant declines in enrollment across all of our schools. We're taking action or proposing taking action tonight to reduce several positions in order to align our overall staffing with our. That concludes the.
All right, do we have any questions or comments from the board regarding this? Yes. It is on. You can't hear. Oh, okay, so everyone that speaks, please make sure you turn on your mics. Yes, yes. Okay, so questions or comments?
Through the chair.
Yes.
Well, I know that it's always very hard to eliminate positions. I understand that this is something that we need to do to keep our school district solvent and to keep all the employees actually engaged in work. And while it's regrettable, it's something that's necessary. And I guess that's all I want to say.
Thank you. I will consider a motion for this item.
The chair, I move to approve item number 11, the consideration to, 10, consideration to approve resolution 22/23-21.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, trustee Nunez. So because it's a resolution, do they need to read the beginning? Okay, go ahead.
Whereas the governing board of trustees of the Ravenswood School District has determined that as of the 30th of June 23, certain services now being extended, whereas it shall be necessary to reduce. Now therefore be it resolved, be it therefore adopted.
Thank you. So all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All abstain? Sorry, trustee Shabelle Mahina, I don't know what your vote was because we didn't hear you this time.
Oh, I said aye at the same time. Sorry, you didn't hear me.
Okay, thank you. So the item passes 5-0. Thank you. We will move on to item number 11, the consideration to enter into an option with accompanying ground lease with Alliant Strategic Development for the former flood school site.
Good evening, trustees. At the prior board meeting in late February, we presented an option for leasing out the flood school site to Alliance Strategic Development. As discussed, this would be a project that is 80 to 90 units of affordable, 100% affordable housing with a preference for teachers and staff that would bring small but meaningful amounts of revenue to the district over the term of the lease. Tonight, we're presenting, the board also asked me to draft a letter based on their feedback to the City Council of Menlo Park and to the San Mateo Board of Supervisors. That letter is attached for reference and for public viewing, but the trustees will have the option to sign it should it meet what they're looking for at a later point. So either at the end of this meeting or potentially down the road, but hopefully soon. And again, that document is attached for reference for anyone from the public who's looking and wants to see it. We publicly display that letter as it currently stands. I have no further presentation beyond that which we gave at the last board meeting, which included the same version of the ground lease and option. that we presented at the prior meeting. So with that, I'll conclude my presentation.
Are there any questions or comments from the board regarding this matter?
Through the chair, I just want to say thank you, Will and team, for this very lengthy process. It's been about 2 years in the making with conversations and, you know, kind of figuring out what we wanted to do when it came to the
Flood school site.
not flood school site, the
The development.
close subcommittee. What's the
Oh, the facility subcommittee.
facility subcommittee plan?
Which you're now a member, which you're now one of the members.
Yes, next meeting for sure. And so, yeah, I know. So, just to see, you know, what that plan was for each school site and how we were going to build and leverage was something really important, and to see a lot of the work coming to fruition is incredible. And so, you know, we have continued to work hard to ensure that Ravenswood is in a more resilient standpoint, and I believe that we are in that direction. And so I just want to thank staff and all those who have contributed in ensuring that this continue to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I also just want to make note if there's any members of the public who would like to speak at this time, but we do not have any speaker cards for this item. Is that correct? Okay. So I will entertain a motion to approve item number 11 to enter into the option agreement with the accompanying letters and then with the accompanying ground lease with Alliance Strategic Development for the former flood school site.
I'll make a motion to approve item 11 with its attachments.
Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, motion carries 5-0. We will move on to item number 12, which is the consideration to approve the 2022-2023 second interim financial report.
Evening, trustees. I'm just introducing our Director of Finance, Reese Matsumoto, who's going to present the second interim budget update.
Sorry, let me just readjust the mic since Will is much taller than I am. Good afternoon, trustees. As Will said, my name is Reese Matsumoto. I'm the Director of Finance here at Ravenswood. And I'll be presenting on the second interim budget update. So to get things started, there's a couple of larger points that I'd like to touch on here. The main points here are that we are currently on pace to meet our expenditures that we budgeted for. We've spent roughly 40% of our budget through the end of January. That's right on track with what we've done historically. Currently, we're on pace to run a $4.4 million surplus through the end of the year. Both our revenue and expenditures, at least the budgeted revenues and expenditures, have gone up since the first interim report. And that's mostly because we've received some funding upfront for grants that we have a longer time horizon to spend. And secondly, because in the first interim, we did not include our COLA raises, which now we have included in the budget. A couple of things that, again, we want to touch upon is that this is going to be our last year of running a surplus before we begin to run our strategic deficits. Again, this is part of our longer term plan to build up reserves that which we can spend down over a little bit of time in order to maintain our kind of current level of expenditures. For the next fiscal year, we've already begun budgeting. We've been meeting with budget owners, not only our principals, but not only our principals, but also our central office team members. So you'll be able to see that relatively soon, where we'll have our budget update for the next fiscal school year. And then again, to kind of further hammer the point home, we are planning to run a deficit next year. Again, part of our longer term plan to run some surpluses and then, use that balance in order to keep our expenditures high for the next couple of years. Before we move on quickly, I also just want to point out that, getting the budget to line up more with actuals, especially this year, has been a concerted effort of everyone, not only on the school level, but also at the central office level. And I would kind of like to make a quick shout out to everyone for, really putting their time and effort to making sure that, at least financially, fiscally, same word, I guess, we're much more aligned this year and, tighter to our budget than in years past. Right. So as I was saying earlier, this is the first slide about our revenues. Our revenues increased in large part because we received some funding upfront. As you can see in the third row, a lot of the funding came because of the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant and also the Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials Block Grant. Both of these grants have a longer spending horizon. However, we've just received most of the allocations upfront. Moving on to the expenses, in large part, for the expenditures, the increase here is largely because of the COLA increases, and also there was a negative line that we had as an offset for the Ref Talent Initiative, but that has been reversed. So as I said earlier, both our revenues and expenditures have increased, but we are still running a surplus or planning to run a surplus. This next slide is the usual slide we show. The red dotted line is our expenditures through this year, and all the gray lines in the background are our past years of expenditure. As you can see, our red line is pretty much right in the middle of everything, which means that we're pretty much on target to appropriately spend all the money that we've budgeted for. And then very quickly on the right side, again, we're planning to run a $4.4 million surplus, large part because of some of the funds we received up front. And again, this is all part of our plan to, in the next slide, run planned deficits for the next couple of years. Again, I believe Will and I have tried to make a concerted effort to bring the slide up as many times as possible. We have run a surplus in the last couple of years in order to build up these reserves that now currently sit in Fund 17 that we'll be able to spend over the next couple of years. And with that, I conclude my presentation. Oh, actually, sorry, one more slide. Our next steps for this school year. So currently we've been budgeting, of which case we are planning to put all the budgets together and bring that to the board relatively soon. And on top of that, our auditors are finishing up the audit report for the 21-22 school year. Again, they received an extension through the county and the state, in which case we will also have that ready for board review relatively soon. And with that, I finish my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? I will say thank you so much for the presentation. I also just want to say, just to repeat something Reese said, is thank you to all the members who are making this happen to stay on budget, because it starts from the top to the bottom. And I know that that is a really important thing to just highlight one more time. The other thing I will say is there is a budget tool on our website where people can come and look at every single dollar we spend and where that goes. I will say it is very, very, very informative. And so if anyone has a question of how we are spending our money and if we are spending it well or correctly, it is all there. and it's very clear and very transparent. And I just, to see where our district is now, where we're thinking forward, and we're not putting out fires, but we're actually preparing. I am very appreciative of that. And I know that it hurts to be able to do that, right? To see the surplus. But like I said, that chart's, I think, embedded in every single one of our minds forever, of just understanding that we are forecasting and we are making sure that we're going to be okay. So thank you for the team that is in charge of this, that's doing all the numbers and putting everything out there, right? And consolidating and making it digestible for the rest of us who don't think or understand things like this when we just see numbers. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So with that, I will entertain a motion to approve item number 12.
I'll make a motion to approve item 12.
Do I have a second?
One second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Item carries 5-0, passes 5-0. We're going to move on to item number 13, which is the superintendent's report. Thank you.
I will be brief, actually, and there's a few things I could highlight that were shared in our board memo and Monday memo, and that was recently shared in our newsletter. I really just want to take the time to make sure that in the events of all that is happening, March is a very challenging month for folks in education. It's where we're actually looking at data, we're recalibrating our work, we're reassessing our strategies to see if they're actually paying off. There's wins and there's losses in regards to what's been working and not. And I think some of the folks who are most critical of themselves are educators. And we also take a lot of load and secondhand trauma when we engage with little human beings. And amidst everything that's going on, it's the small things that we need to make sure we stay focused on. And it's the day-to-day interactions with children. And I want to make sure I reiterate, and I'll reiterate this to the entire district community, especially our teachers and our classified team members who are working at the school sites day to day. They are all individual leaders who are making connections with kids, regardless of site administration, regardless of central office administration. I want to emphasize the day-to-day interactions the adults have with children is immensely important. And it's also as critical, it is as critical to ensure that each employee and team member take care of themselves. And I just want to leave that there. So as we continue to move forward this month with spring break, April 10th, it's not that we work from break to break. It's not that. It's that we work so hard that we forget to take a break. And I just want to be mindful of that and to also just acknowledge the hard work our team is doing. And we look forward to sharing our progress with the board March 23rd.
Thank you. Any questions and comments?
Yeah, through the chair, I think what Superintendent has said is very powerful in how we as an organization need to be. I think the standard should always be that we take care of ourselves as people first before servants or whatever positions that we hold. And so I want to reiterate to our staff, classified, unclassified, anyone under the Ravenswood City School District umbrella, I want to ensure that you know that if you need help, it is available to you. If you need an avenue, if you need a person, there's a lot of staff members that you can really reach out to if you need that extra assistance. If you're going through bereavement, if you're going through maternity leave, these are the things I take really seriously. I tell our staff, especially when it comes to maternity leave, to take your full time because I can't imagine being a parent and working at the same time and continuing to go through work when, there's a new life in the home. And so I want to make sure that, that we are constantly coming back to mental health and being mentally stable, but mentally, not always in a position where we're running towards the next thing, where we're constantly chasing, but we also are okay with just being where we're at, right? And that every day we just woke up, right? And I think that's a start. And so I want our staff to really feel that if they need time off, they can take it without any, preservations or anything. Yes, that's just my point. And I really thank you, Superintendent, for bringing that up because it's really important. And I don't think we've talked about it or we have addressed it with enough justice. But I do want to make sure that there's a lot of tender love and care when it comes to making sure everybody's okay.
Thank you so much. And I know that all of us echo that. So thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board? All right. We're going to move on. Sorry, we're going to move on to the next item, which is, did you have anything about the superintendent report? Okay, sorry. We're going to move on to the next item, which is board reports and communications. So I know all of our subcommittees met last month, except the intergovernmental committee, which we'll talk about in a minute. But if there are, I know there's some people who are going to give some short reports about them. So.
Through the chair.
Yes.
So the facilities committee met. And I remember the name of it. Thank you, Will, for the background cheering. That helped. The facilities committee met and we looked at the 3 possible designs for the Belhaven field area. And we had a quick discussion on the core campus area, meaning where the buildings are. It was very enlightening and interesting. And we talked about how at our last board meeting, we had a lot of community members in Belhaven become much more engaged because the board meeting was at Belhaven. And then with the city Parks Department meeting at Belhaven, got even more people engaged in the redesign of Belhaven. So I would encourage anybody who wants to check out what we have available and let us know what your thoughts are for the Belhaven field, because we really, really, really need to hear from the community about what their thoughts are. We as a school district have our thoughts, but it's not just our field. It belongs to the community as well. And I have another board report to give really quickly. I had an opportunity to visit the middle school last week and was talking with one of the students after school about the new buildings. And I asked her, and I wrote her name down and I can't find it anywhere. And it was a hard name. So sorry, young lady, I'm really sorry. I don't remember your name. She was so excited. And she told me all her fellow students going into those brand new classrooms that we just opened up in January. She said everybody is just marveled by how modern everything is, how everything is updated, and that they feel like they are special, that they have all these new updated furniture, classroom, everything. Very excited about it. So that's it.
Thank you. The Teaching and Learning Committee also met, so I think.
So through the chair, the Teaching and Learning Committee met and we discussed a lot of the progress that we've been making as a district. That even in the school presentations that have come, we've seen it through the iReady data. And there was discussion around the upcoming CAS testing and how the district, like how to present it to the public that we are making progress at every single site. And it might not show up right away on that state testing, but as a community, or the community will likely place a lot of weight onto that state testing. But we just want to, as a committee, figure out how to best present the data, because growth is happening. And we're having discussions on how to present that information to the community so that they know that it's happening. But state data might not show it right away. So I look forward to continuing those conversations. And then we were also updated on the learning walks that our superintendent and our assistant superintendent are doing at all the sites in order to unpack what a day of student would look like. And I think we've gotten glimpses of that as well through the videos and the reports that the schools have presented. So it's all an ongoing process, but we hope to be able to share what's going on inside the classroom and all the growth that's happening in the sense soon.
Thank you. Any other board reports?
Yeah, so I just want to notify the public that on March 16th at 6 p.m. at City Hall, the city of East Palo Alto will be hosting a town hall with PG&E. And this is an opportunity for our communities to come forward and have a dialogue with officials from PG&E. There will be other elected officials present, Senator Becker, Supervisor Slocum, Assembly Member Pappen. Thank you. Will also be present, as well as myself and I believe some other trustees. And so it is important for our community members who have been affected by the recent outages to come forward and really make sure that your voices are heard. And so I thought that this would be a great time to also bring it to this board to see if we would be willing at a future board meeting to adopt a letter that we would also like to submit. I think that that would be sufficient possible. But I just flagged it for the superintendent. Just about our stances about what happened with PG&E and how it affected our school sites and our children. And so, yes, that is that. So March 16th, follow my social media and the City of East Palo Alto web page to stay on top of that. It'll also be live and online, just in case if you can't make it. My second board report is we had an intergovernmental meeting. Do you want to report back on that?
2x2 with the Sequoia Union High School.
Oh, we had a 2x2 with us in Sequoia Union High School District. I believe it was okay. I'll let everybody else interpretation, but I believe that we are starting to get on the right path, but we need a lot more work to go forward. So yes, that is my nickel on the situation. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm gonna jump to the intergovernmental committee. Subcommittee. I know I am a member of it. Is there anyone here on this board that would like to join that subcommittee? So there's two of us. I don't think we had one at all. I think it was intergovernmental and it's East Palo Alto and Menlo Park. But when we were choosing subcommittees, no one made eye contact for the second position. So is there anyone that would like to join the subcommittee with me to be the second member for both Menlo Park and East Palo Alto? Okay, so it sounds like Trustee Latu might be joining us on that committee. Great. So now we have two board members for that committee.
If she changes her mind, I can, if she changes her mind later.
Sorry, what did you say, Trustee Shrabomaheen?
If she changes her mind later, because she's on like 7 committees, I can.
Okay, so it's
I
gonna
had
be
7 committees last year.
okay, so we will Superintendent Sudaria, can you just check in with both Trustee Shrabomaheen and Trustee Latu in your 1 by your meetings with them next week, just to confirm who will be joining that committee. Thank you. And then 2 short reports for me. Superintendent Sudaria and Executive Director Jennifer Gravum and I attended an event at the Dominique Hoskins Black History Museum and Learning Center that is a pop-up museum in Redwood City. I believe it is not popped up anymore, but it might still be. But that was one of the things that got brought up is they would like to find a permanent place for that. And so that was something that the founder spoke about, Miss Carolyn Hoskins. And the other thing that it was just a wonderful presentation of Black history. And we were invited to bring our schools. And so we're really looking into how we can get our school students to get to that museum next year, wherever it ends up popping up. And so it was just a nice place, and it felt very much, I haven't been there yet, but Superintendent Sudaria said that it reminded her of the Black History Museum in DC, just the artifacts and the stuff that she had out there for Black history. So if it is still open and anyone hasn't attended or gone, I highly suggest going. And for next year, everybody to make sure they go visit wherever it is in San Mateo County in the next year. The second one is that we received the first interim report and district profile from the San Mateo County Office of Education. They completed their review of our first interim report for the 22-23 fiscal year pursuant to the Education Codes 42200 or 42127 and 52046.1. And on the basis of their review and analysis, the report is adopted by the board on the report that we adopted on December 8th appears to adequately reflect the financial and budgetary status of the district and is consistent with the state's criteria and standards. The district has submitted a positive certification, which means the district has certified it will meet its financial obligations for the current fiscal year and subsequent 2 fiscal years. So that was a report that we did a really good job, and our budget's in a really good place. All right. I think that those are all the board reports I have. So if there is nothing else, we don't have anybody absent. So I'm going to skip number 15 and no, I'm not skipping 15. Sorry. We're moving to item number 15, which is the consideration to approve the board policies for the second reading and action. So we had it for reading last week and now we are moving to action. So I will entertain a motion for approving item number 15.
To the chair, I move to approve item number 515, board policies for second reading and action.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Now we will skip item number 16 and we will move on to number 17. The next regular board meeting will be held on March 23rd, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. and open session will begin at 7:15 p.m. And so with that, I will adjourn the meeting at 8:15 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, trustees. Sobomahin. Good
Thank
night.
you. Thank you. Bye.